GM. Everything is red. You know, we can't have nice things. We get a day or two of a pump, and then we just get, more tariff news or Fed news or whatever. So having a sharp market reaction to these new, apparently next week, there's going to be some more tariff decisions. And as we are getting accustomed to, we are now just, going up and down, and just so much volatility around these announcements. I still think we're pulling in better in terms of just like they're sharp reactions still, but at least it gets to a point where the recovery tends to be faster. But don't love going into it like on a Friday, on the weekends, especially on crypto, just like way more volatile. It's going to be an interesting weekend, I think, but there's mixed theories on like what's going to happen next week. Some people are saying it's actually going to be good news, but as we know, the market does not love uncertainty. So we just got to roll with it. Hopefully it is good news and we can get back to business. Nothing too exciting as you would imagine on the charts. Everybody's reacting to it. S actually, compared to some of the other alts and L1s, hanging in there pretty strong. We're still over here at like a moving average. We did bust through resistance, but I kind of think that, or support, I mean, sorry. I tend to think that by next week, we're probably resuming. The reactions are just, we're having faster recoveries to these like tariff things. So we're just watching out for that. Like I said, if you go to the heat map, then I would say it's a good weekend to go touch grass. But yeah, we got Origin here today. We got Funeral here today. We got Assistant on the sidelines. We got Lewis here. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. And I was going to go ahead and bring up Raphael from Origin. What's going on, brother?
GM, how are you doing?
Doing well, man. You guys have been super busy. We've already had Origin, I think, once or twice on the show, but you guys are just constantly working on stuff. So how have things been though? How's been your experience on Sonic so far?
Yes, it has been, okay, starting with we have been very busy creating integrations and trying to help also protocols using our tokens. But it has been, I think, the building on Sonic has been such a great experience. We have been building I don't know, at least me, I have been building in DeFi for I don't know, a couple of years already, in Origin also very long. The experience has been great. I don't know if you can probably see even watching X, how many people are building there and how many DeFi protocols are coming in and all the time. This has been amazing, right? But I feel one of the biggest parts of building on Sonic has been the foundation. On how the foundation is there, how do they support the builders, how do they help even builders connect to each other. I think this is great because they have such this DeFi knowledge that they can already see, this protocol, you guys should talk to the other protocol because they're here. Hey, meet each other. You know what I mean? This is amazing.
Yeah, there was that was one thing that stood out to me last run on Fantom, and that's kind of part of what I think brought me in and had me stay was the community kind of had a similar synergy last run where it would be like, oh, you got a farm for this, or you have a product for this, you should talk to these guys. And it was like everybody wanted to collaborate, help each other out. And when I had first started, I was on other networks where it was just very PvP, even for the builders. It was like you would talk to somebody and be like, hey, we should do this or do that. And it'd be like, what are you're trying to get my money? What are you doing? What's, and I came to Fantom and it was just such a totally different experience. I was just it was just so much more, people innovating and doing cool stuff, but just definitely more laid back. And, yeah, I mean, you guys are constantly collaborating with people. I'm always seeing it on the timeline.
Yeah. We're trying to like, because I feel like if you go back, right, to like what is DeFi, and it's kind of this composability, right? Like it's kind of like building this like blocks that people can reuse, and then you can build even more stuff on top of these blocks, right? Like, and I feel like this is the cool part about working in DeFi, that you have a product. Okay, maybe in this product we will compete or we will not collaborate, but maybe we can build another product that we will collaborate, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like Phantom has this energy, which is really cool, right? Like there is, as you say, there is some other chains that, like, yeah, we have had like some, yeah, experiences there too, right? Like to say,
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Origin, for those that aren't familiar, Origin, you have like a series of LST products, but on Sonic, your other LSTs have been very successful. And I was excited to see you guys coming over when, Sonic was launching. So you have OS, and we have like a few other LSTs, but we're just gonna, for people that haven't heard before, we're just gonna kind of have you like walk through like what OS is and kind of how it's different from the other LSTs.
yeah, that would be great. Let me see here if you can share my screen. I built a little presentation especially for the show.
There we go. Yeah.
So, well, like, because I think there's a lot of people who is constantly asking us, like, because I don't know if you have seen, like, there's a lot of protocols now pairing with us and starting to use
Mhm.
us as like, uh, as a very interesting. I will explain to you how their protocols are used, right? Like, so kind of like what the origin tokens, as it explains. So we have like LSDs on other, like on Ethereum. We have a stable coin as well. But the cool part is that like all of these tokens are yield bearing tokens, and they all share the same code. So the way that it accumulates yield on this strategy, that's the only difference. So all of them work the same way. They're rebasing. They have a wrapped version with 4626 for people to integrate. But last year, like in the end of that last year, we were discussing like internally a lot about like how to innovate in the token models, because we felt that a lot of people were just building strategies, but they were not building like reusable blocks, right? Like for other DeFi protocols. So then we came up with this very interesting concept, which we have a rebasing token, and the way that our rebasing token works is if it's held on an EOA, like you have 5OS, whenever we rebase, you get the rebase automatically. When it is in a smart contract, it's part of the non-rebasing supply automatically. So you need to take an action to actually be part of it. And this we did mostly to integrate with AMMs. So like we don't want to be rebasing inside an AMM and stuff like that. But then we were like, okay, but what if we can tell all those tokens that are in that contract to rebase in another contract, right? And that's what this feature that we built allows us to do. So they allow us to, through governance, you say, okay, all the tokens that are here, whenever it rebases to this new address. You see?
Yeah, and I mean, I think
This,
that's why you're seeing a lot of, it's a cool feature for projects. Like what you're seeing a lot of, especially like in, some of like the V3 dexes and stuff that have bribes and everything. You're seeing people making pools because they're able to say like, hey, have the yield forwarded to the gauge to like go towards our bribes, which I think is pretty brilliant.
yeah, yeah, you're touching up like already on this one. So we have like it's so funny when you're already like going over to what I'm towards. This is like so we came up with some use cases, right? Exactly what you were saying. It's like, okay, cool. What can we help like protocols to do? So I don't know, the most flexible one, we call it Treasury Booster, because we just forward you to a multi-sig, and then you say, okay, you do your strategy there. Like, I don't know what you want to do. I don't know if you want to swap these tokens. I don't know if you want to distribute. I don't know, whatever. Here's the tokens for you, right? And I really like this model, for example, especially for meme coins, let's say like that, because it puts skin in the game for the meme coin launcher to keep the liquidity on an AMM, and they still earn something out of this, right? But it also allows like more flexibility in other stuff. But it's exactly what you mentioned, right? Like we have an automation in a couple of protocols that whenever people pair with us, we are automatically incentivizing the pool that they're using. So the protocols don't need to do that anymore, right? Like, so then there's a clear value added here when, uh, for example, if your choice is like, oh, let me pair with RAPS or OS will be a token that is actually giving you more value, right? Is a token that's working. And this is like a very interesting alpha here. Like this is an image. So this is like the amount of OSs that we're forwarding. So we are forwarding already, like, I don't know, in a 7 days average something like 450 OS a day that we forward over these two protocols.
Wow, yeah. I mean, it's great for that system because yeah, it's like, ideally if you're a project, the one of the things with V3, especially if you're a meme token or, DeFi or whatever, is that, usually your fees are getting forwarded for your bribes, like part of your bribe pool or whatever. But, 9 times out of 10, unless you're just super high volume or whatever, you're, having to put some of your own token from your treasury in there. And, this does all kinds of stuff depending on how much you have to put in. That's more sell pressure on your token. You're giving away some of your treasury supply, all that stuff. So that's why, yeah, I think it's a really cool idea because it's like anything that you can do to keep going to that bribe pool, for projects, that's very attractive to, get any resources you can that don't require you to, put your own token in there. And so, with this OS pool, you can, you'll have your fees getting added, but also the rebased OS, which, yeah, I mean, if you have decent sized liquidity, I'm sure it adds up,
Yeah, it adds a lot up. And I think the part that it really adds up is, for example, when you have a high multiplier on one of these AMMs, right? So, for example, because sometimes you get like $1.2 or $1.5 on the dollar that you put as incentives. So then here your yield is increasing as well on that, right? Because whatever dollar you put there as incentives, it's growing like, I don't know, 20 or 30%. So this is really cool, right? And what we have been doing a lot now with a lot of the protocols is that, like, I think when they see this, like, not everyone like really understand what it's possible and how we do. So we're talking to a lot of people right now because, oh, I heard you guys have this interesting token model. Here's my project. What can we do? you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah. So, on top of this, I think last time somebody was on, you guys have like some other stuff in the works, right? Like coming up after this.
Yes, we are, right. Like, so we have like some. There is a product that we're still thinking on what to do. Like, if we bring this to Origin or not, to Sonic or not. Like, I think we're probably gonna do it. But what we're working mostly right now is integration with more AMMs to support more protocols. To, oh, I want to use, I don't know, AMM XYZ. I want to,
Mm-hmm.
and how can you do the pool booster? And then sometimes right now it's like, oh, we can do the treasury booster, but then the protocol needs to do some manual intervention. So we're trying to, like, at least with the top AMMs, to support them all to really be there. And we have been discussing like a lot of things, helping some protocols like the tom forks, or like some like toms, like I don't know, that they are trying to create some like interesting new models there. What we have been helping them with that is that because we're organizing like all of this through governance and stuff like that. So whenever they build the Genesis spool, the yield forwarding is automatically running. So then, for example, the protocol can actually, they're giving you the yield on Genesis spool, but then they are getting the OS yield.
Yeah.
And then they can do a massive bribe when the pool gets live.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool too. That like, obviously on Sonic, we kind of had this like explosion of, we have obviously a ton of DeFi, but with DeFi and DeFi money coming in, you start, people start going into also like memes and NFTs and kind of some people running it back. It was like we started to see all these Tomb Forks pop up, like Wolf Game, kind of like some of like the old gamified DeFi stuff from last run. So yeah, I mean, that's cool that you guys are like agile enough to like, integrate these things on the fly. I think it's great.
It's really on the fly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
it's like, hey, we're launching this now. It's like, wait, what, like how what are you even doing? Like, and then, but again, right? Like we are trying to be there for everyone. We're trying to build that for builders. We know how it is. We know how we know how sometimes it gets complicated. But I think what we want to offer is like a very good experience for everyone that wants to integrate with us, and we want people to say good things about working together, right? So yeah. I think reputation is everything.
Well, yeah. Yeah, congrats on everything. And yeah, I mean, obviously OS has become a monster on Sonic. So I'm sure that's only going to continue once people keep learning about this, yield forwarding stuff.
Yeah, there's more use cases that like right now we're not ready yet, but we are thinking about like some alpha here. We're thinking about how to actually create an interesting use case with yield forwarding and lending markets, right? Like because our first idea with this was like, okay, let's actually make LSTs a place that's not only like, oh, I buy and hold it, or I buy it and I put in a lending market, like why can't we bring this and put utility on AMMs, right? So I feel like we did that now, right? So now it's like, okay, but what if we could innovate this in the lending market too,
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that would be really awesome.
What we have been thinking is that, like, for example, imagine that you have this market which is wrapped S and USDC, but imagine that you use OS as like kind of like parity with wrapped S, but then we forward it to put as the borrow as an incentive when you're borrowing USDC. So you might get a negative borrow rate in the beginning when there is not a lot of utility, you see?
Oh man, yeah, I would love to see that. That would be awesome.
You go long.
Yeah, I mean, similar. Yeah, I mean, similar with the protocols, like the V3 dexes and stuff. It's like for the lending rates, it's like anything that can help get that borrow rate down, is nice. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on today. Was there anything else you wanted to throw out there?
No, it was a pleasure, and keep up with the good work. It has been like awesome seeing all of this.
Yeah, well, yeah, we appreciate that. And whenever you have some new alpha or anything else that you want to talk about, hit us up. We'll bring you back.
Perfect. We will. So, all right.
Have a good weekend.
For having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. See ya. All right. Origin, man, those guys are just got to give those guys credit. They're just constantly, I mean, there's just constantly stuff going on with them, and you love to see it. But speaking of things constantly going on, I got a man here. You know him. You love him. Funeral. What's up, man?
GM, how are you?
Good, man. How are you? I'm gonna swing Lewis up here too, man.
Yo, GM.
Yeah, how are you doing, man?
Doing well, man. I mean, it's like you said, there's a lot of consistency, momentum within the Sonic ecosystem. Teams like Origin, we got Funeral doing so many cool stuff with derps, BERPS, etc. So, and then of course you, Corval. There's just a lot of momentum, man. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, shout out to Corval. He's not feeling well today, so
Poor guy, man. Poor guy.
Yeah, we need him healthy. So
I know last week it was him, and then this week it's you, man. We gotta
yeah,
get that together.
yeah. So but yeah, funeral, man. You've just been crazy busy lately. I think Derps had just gone live, like pretty much like last time you were on here. So I mean, it's been a while, but I mean, I don't know anyone that's got as much stuff going on as you. It seems like
it's a problem. Yeah, definitely a workaholic. And I would say I'm working on that, but that would just be another thing that I'm working on.
Yeah,
but
my favorite thing is I love like seeing people that are like you know, tagging you on stuff or anything, and it's like, I know it's not like you're busy or anything.
Oh, my DMs are like publicly proclaimed as a dumpster fire at all times. Like whether it's bots or real people, and me trying to distinguish between the two. It's always this like weird vetting process about like, am I about to waste like 15 minutes of my time trying to engage in this? Or so, and then to be able to like deliver on these projects at the same time while managing the influx.
Yeah, I mean, because that's like the hot thing is that, you know, you're a nobody if you don't have a derp as your PFP or especially a custom one. You've been cranking it out. It's like every day I see like a new protocol or, you know, Sonic thing going on, and they've switched to a derp PFP. So I don't know. You must be like on a regimented schedule at this point to get the derps out.
For sure. Yeah. I get up depending on the day between 5 and 6.
He's sharing his morning routine.
The morning routine. Yeah.
I'm doing it.
We need a video.
Yeah. Right. No, but I have been waking up a lot earlier these days to make sure that I allocate enough time to everything that needs to get done. And I've been allocating work to new interns and new people that have been kind enough to make tutorials, contribute to the visual language that's further being established in the ecosystem, whether it's memes, animations, derivatives. But yeah, it's a cool little dance to do. And I really, you know, it's for the love of the game. And I love being able to give back and give value to the ecosystem. You know, there's some stuff that, you know, Ponzi season will prove to be abstraction or, you know, value abstraction for like the start. But like, I want to be a good example. And one thing that comes with that is like having a good work ethic, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that, yeah, I mean, you obviously, you do so much for other people, especially in the community. It's just like, I don't think there's anyone that, you know, has given quite as much back as you have, especially, I mean, in terms of NFTs, it's just been crazy. And that's what we were going to talk about today was, you know, you guys, a lot of people, you know, obviously derps are like the PFP of Sonic. There's no question about it. So congrats on that. But I think almost like people don't even necessarily realize like there's like this entire crazy like ecosystem that you guys have built around derp. And
yeah,
I do.
You know, you started with the button.
I want to say something real quick though, like because I know a lot of people in the Sonic ecosystem or new players specifically. Like I want to emphasize, Funeral is an OG from the Phantom days. Like Funeral didn't just come onto Sonic and made noise with derp just out of the gate, right? Like he built a personal brand. I just want people like new listeners, new people coming into the Sonic ecosystem to understand why derps is that NFT on Sonic, right? I just want to give you your flowers, Funeral, because like I know you've been here for a minute, man, and there's a deep lore to you, bro.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember meeting you in Miami. We spent a lot of time together at the booth, and like, just like me and you, just like promoting. You know, McJibs was there too. Bird was there. Like, just like word of mouth, like promoting Fantom at Quantum. Yeah. So thank you. You know, all the love.
Yeah, man. Of course.
Yeah, I was kind of like laying that lore on somebody the other day, because they were talking about some of like the derp dudes or whatever, and it was kind of like, yeah, I mean, that was kind of like a really cool thing for the tail end of Fantom, where you know, there came a point on Fantom where I don't want to say ghost town, but it was kind of like in that there was like this window where like we're waiting for Sonic. So people aren't really like launching new stuff because anything that's new is, you know, obviously there's no point in not waiting for Sonic launch. And I thought that was a really cool thing to kind of like ride out the end of Phantom was you did the derp dudes, and they were all one of ones, and there was 100 of them. So it was, people are always asking about those because, you made, I mean, I don't know, maybe almost half of them were just like kind of like one of ones of different people from the community, which was just like, I mean, I just think that was really cool to do. It was kind of like a saying goodbye kind of deal or something. But that ethic definitely, transferred over to Sonic, where I think, in the end, doing that giant one-on-one collection, it had to be so much work, but obviously it paid off with the generative because it took off.
Yeah, I had, a lot of people know me from the Cult, and that had always been my baby. And then when I started we had dropped the Devil's Lounge at the time. During this like Deep Bear season, we upgraded the UI, and Derpy Dudes initially was going to be this love letter to the community, where it's like, okay, there's a bunch of builders still doing it here, regardless of the market conditions. And then people started rallying behind it, and it really became bigger than me and one, right? Like it became like bigger than I am, and then it just took off. And now it's just like a part of my everyday.
Yeah, I mean, so on top of the NFTs, there's like a corresponding derp token, and I thought it was cool when you guys launched it that you kind of like set aside. It was like instead of like a traditional emissions thing, you guys kept running these games with the derp button, and every time you push the button, it's on like a timed thing, so you can only press it so many times. Like I think you've kind of modified the times based on like how many tokens are being given out and all that stuff. And I was telling you the other day, like how I was like, it's really hard to give away a lot of free tokens and numbers still go up on the chart. So obviously people are like recognizing the value, and I'd push the button now, but I was not paying attention and I pushed it before the show started. So I don't have like more derp to get, I think, for another hour. But I thought that was like a really cool, like interesting way to like distribute the token.
Right. Fair distribution, fair launches. I've always been a big advocate for that. And Maxis and I sat down to do the tokenomics. He helped out tremendously with that. And we thought it would be, one, chaotic, and two, fair. Like we thought that if we had the derps out already and everyone was expecting a derp token because it had been talked about a little bit, and then me and you had goggles, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to drop derp right now. That would be insane. And then when everything kind of settled down, Christmas is when we opened up the floodgates, where that kind of like dipped down the momentum. And then I was like at the bar one day, and Maxis and 24 were DMing me, and they were like, should we just like ship this now and just like launch the button? And I was like, yes, like absolutely. So it was just like, yeah, there was a like crazy fun, fair way to distribute tokens. And now if you have a derp, the button will give you a daily claim. So you can go back and get 100 derp per derp that you hold. The first event was just mayhem. You would get derp every time you clicked it. And then the second event, we introduced cards where if you had cards, they would give you extra derp for holding the cards. And then we started memeing the botters because people started botting the button. So we did the Clone Wars, the button strikes back. And we still gave, like, obviously the bots got Sonic tokens, but they weren't getting the participation trophies and the posters. And it created this nice little ecosystem where some people would just click the button to get the prizes, or just take that derp that they're claiming and immediately spend it on a cool poster in the shop.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was definitely on that side of things where it'd just be like anytime there's new items, it was like I'd just go and scoop them up. And, you guys had like set quantities on the items, which I thought was also really cool. Because it kind of like incentivized, like there was always like items that had less available than others. And
you should click the item shop right now while we're on stream, because I just dropped some new items on the shop for today.
What do we got here? Oh wow, whoa.
It's not showing on the screen that I'm seeing, but we have
oh wait, okay, my bad. Here we go. There we go.
Yep. So we have a great announcement for today for GM Sonic. Burp Dash is live, and we've got some posters in the shop to celebrate the launch of the first game in the Burpcade, as well as artwork from the legend Clockworky. So
Yeah, look at here.
Yeah, last big announcement, we had artwork by Selleck. This time we're putting the spotlight on Clocky, just sharing the love. And yeah, there's 100 of each of these posters. It costs 1,000 derp token to get them. And it's to celebrate the launch of the Burpcade. All of the burps are meant to be game items. We're going to be releasing a GitHub with contracts so that you can also use burps in your game and compete for our prizes. We want to have an aggregated leaderboard with all the games that are using these contracts. But the burps, if you want to go and lead people through the feeding process, have been the main reason that the price is not tanking. We have these snacks that you can purchase through DerpNet. And when you purchase this snack, a part of the derp goes into 45% of that derp is going to go to the burn address, and then 45% of that derp is going to end up going to the derp that you feed that snack to. The remainder goes to the treasury, so we can keep filling this button.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I think the reason that I just am always like so impressed about it is that when people do NFTs or a token, a lot of times that's just pretty much it. It's just like, oh, like let's get out the NFT, let's get out the token. But it was just wild that you guys had like this entire, I mean, there's just like this entire scheme from the beginning, and you know, all these things were planned out and they all like feed into each other. And I mean, it's just brilliant. But yeah, so you introduced burps, which you have to feed your derp snacks to mint. So you can't just, you know, you can't just like go and mint a burp. You have to actually go through this process, which I think is really cool. So you have to have a derp, and you have to get some snacks, and you have to feed it snacks to get your burp. Yep. Am I missing anything there?
No, so every day you claim your derp, you could buy some snacks and feed your derp or other people's derps, or you could buy some items in the shop. You could you don't need a derp to burp a derp. You just need to find one that hasn't been burped within 24 hours. We have a rest bar.
Wow, that's
that
crazy.
Shows that. And when you hit the My Derp button, it'll take you to your derp specifically, or you could use the arrows at the bottom of the DerpNet OS to go from room to room. And you can actually decorate your rooms with posters.
Yeah, I'll go back there. Yeah, this is what I've done so far. A little bear.
All good.
I have a question for you, because I've always liked the thought process, because I know you mentioned a little bit about like the inception, like you're sitting at a bar, like, yo, should we ship this? Like, was this always part of like your internal roadmap to do this like gamification of derps, burping, and now derp dash and posters? Like, I'm just very curious, man, because I think people I'm asking because you brought some life to like the NFT sector, man. Not just on Sonic, but I think in general. And I think it's very important for people to understand that, because I came into crypto really deep with NFTs. And I remember like the roadmaps people would put, right? But you're not typical like that. You have more of an internal roadmap. I just wanted to get inside the mastermind.
Absolutely. I set out with the Derpy dudes to just do one-of-one auctions influenced by the art scene that blew up during the Fantom NFT era. People were doing weekly auctions, and I was kind of wondering why no one was doing that anymore. So I was just like, all right, well, if no one's going to do it, I'll just do it on PaintSwap, and wanted to create like a template for people, like, you know, and just like, hey, like I'm a marketing guy. I've worked on the marketing side of more than 20 NFT projects because I've been in the industry just like as a participant for just so long. So I know what people like. I know what people don't like. And when it got to the point where the demand for the generative was so clear, and I knew that the community had grown beyond the 99 tokens that exist in the Derpy dudes, I had to justify it to myself as well, right? Like everyone wanted 2,000 more of these things, but I didn't feel comfortable with it just being 2,000 more without an idea of what to do with all of that money, right? Like, 'cause straight up, like, it's a lot of people just take that money and run. But I have a job, I work, and like my money comes from not the project. Like, I think that's the difference between what I do and what other people do. Like, there's this natural sync in every project because they're just like taking and taking and taking.
Mhm.
But I'm just straight up giving. Like, I woke up this morning and I bought a derp off the floor for the prize for Derp Dash. Like, I think that's like one thing that happens with a lot of projects that makes them fail. They have a hole in their boat from the start.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure. I was like, okay, well, what would I charge for this token of 2,000 if people are buying this many? Well, one, to take you through the whole process, I looked at Meme Mania and I looked at all of the token or all the wallets that were holding all the tokens. And that's how I came to the 2,000 number, to find out the active participants actually on the chain at the time that would be interested in buying. And then from there, I was thinking, okay, these derpy dudes are going for like 5,000 Phantom on secondary. They were auctioning for between 2,000 and 3,000 day of. If I split this between us, like a supply of 2,000, how do I do the OGs justice? How do I make sure that they're not upset with the price point that I'm doing with a bigger collection? And also, what do I want to do and how much money will I need to do that? Right. So then I came up with the tokenomics model with Maxis, and then that's how we established we need to charge this much to sustain button distribution, daily claims, snacks for X amount of years. And then the model improves and the years expand. But that's kind of like when the demand hit and people were asking for 2,000 more of them, that's when my wheels started turning on. What can this be that people aren't doing and that I would love to see? And that feeds into this like nature that I've seen in communities play out over the past 7 years that I've been in crypto.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, that's just, to me, that's just, like I was mentioning earlier, is just like part of what makes it so impressive is just like the forethought and the care put into it. Yeah, like you see a lot of this with other launches too. Like even like you were saying with the derp token, it was like totally just a fair launch. You guys just put everything into the liquidity pools, that have fun, then distributed via the button. So I mean, I think it just kind of goes to show you that if you come in with like the right intentions and you come in being like, I want to like value and like honor the people that care about my project, it just goes to show you like that it's always gonna like end up doing well for the most part. It would be hard to like fail with this kind of system compared to just coming in, being extractive, being like, we're gonna drop this, we get the money, we're done. So yeah, I just think that everything's just put together so nicely, and yeah, this snack thing is just like so funny to mint these burps. But I think I'm just kind of hitting everything here. Let's feed it. Let's make a burp.
Yeah, the sound design was a lot of fun on this one too.
Yeah, I love those sounds on it. Give him a couple more sodas. This is so funny, dude.
So now that the bar is filled, you hit the fork and knife to feed.
And I love this whole sequence.
Thank you. I think the transaction modal is an underutilized part of the DApp.
Yeah, like I think I told you that like the transaction thing might have been like I don't know why, it's like one of my favorite parts about the whole thing. And there you go.
Now you have your burp, and if you scroll down, you could. Oh, maybe the window's not allowing it. I'll have to edit that. So the right button says "Play Derp Dash."
Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. Sorry, that was my window. So this thing is live, right?
Oh yeah, this is live. Absolutely.
This is like today, right?
Today. Yeah. Let's
see here.
Live today for GM Sonic. Wanted to make sure like it was ready to go. But
check it out.
Got a nice Derp Cola ad going on in the background. Paid ad space from the Derp Cola execs. We got the leader Derp. That's going to be tracking your ranks over time. You can click on that, show people what's good. And then on the leader derp, it filters by day, week, month, all time.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Your derp right next to your rank.
Yeah, I love that. It's the actual burps here. So I think I'm gonna try to give it a spin. You're gonna have to tell me what to do here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you are a burp, and your objective is to collect lollipops and navigate the market, right? So you
Yeah.
are, you can choose you play as your burp as well, which
Yeah.
is great. You can click the arrows to choose between them.
That's cool. We'll go with this guy.
And you click to, bounce around a little bit, inspired by Flappy Bird, obviously. But we have these green and red candles that you need to navigate to not lose your health and lives. So everyone starts with 3 lives right now. If people want dynamic health, like I was considering doing it, like you get a life for what you have, but it might incentivize some pay to win kind of activity. But right now, you navigate the market, as we all are, between the green and red candles. You collect lollipops. When you hit a derp cola, you actually get a multiplier, so you get more points while you're inflated with the derp cola. But it just becomes more difficult to navigate through the candles. And so after this week, the burp with the most amount of points, so number 1 rank on the leader burp, will get a derp NFT.
All right.
Dude,
Yeah.
this is so cool, man. Like it's so fast. And the cool thing, I like that, like you said, it's inspired by Flappy Bird. It's like a game that almost everyone is familiar with. And it's like the game design is so funny, man. I love the story, like navigating the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's kind of just like an ode to like what I've loved over time, right? Like the button is kind of inspired by Reddit, like the Reddit button from back in the day. I don't know if anyone like was around for that, but like on the homepage, you would like click a button and you were like designated a clan. And then this is inspired by Flappy Bird, obviously. The feeding is inspired by Tamagotchi. Everything that I'm like into or a fan of, I want to put into this addicting games meets E-bombs world type of.
Yeah, I gotta say,
that
like,
on the blockchain.
It just looks so like, I don't know. You see some of these like Web3 games, and you can tell they're just kind of like rough reskins of stuff, and the assets or whatever. So I mean, obviously, there's like way more like care and effort put into this. Like, I love that it's all these assets, and like Lewis was saying, it's like you're navigating the market. But yeah, no, I mean, this is I can see this being pretty addictive. I'm gonna have to get good.
It's very fun on mobile. I don't advocate for mobile wallets, but I did send a burp to a wallet. And if you are choosing to touch some grass this weekend, as you suggested before, maybe burp a bit. You're out and about, you're touching some grass. Maybe compete for a derp NFT. Who knows?
There you go. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Just gonna like get in the pool with my phone and play around. But yeah, man.
This is dope.
This is awesome. That it launched today, so I mean, you need to get on it if you have not played around yet.
Question: is this available on mobile?
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh my god, bro! I think.
Yeah, we introduced a God button too, where you could just click. If you go to m.derpy.xyz, it takes you to the mobile interface of feeding and claiming as well. So what we noticed is that the user experience of minting each snack one at a time, then going and find a derp and feeding that was a lot of steps. So we went in and we created this button that you press it and it buys all of the derp cola you need to burp. It feeds it to the next available derp based on token ID, and then you get your derp and you get your burp, apologies, and then you're all ready to dash.
Fire.
Yeah, man. Like Funeral was saying, if you want to touch some grass, chill out, try to win a derp. That's crazy. They're gonna give away. I mean, the floor on derps is still.
I just did a tweet right now, actually, just because like I got inspired. I was like, dude, I need to remind people, like, you minted back in December at 100S. Floor price right now is 3.4K S, 3.6.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, I mean, people, the whole story behind hitting up 24/2 that he's giving out derps and stuff. I saw a funny tweet.
There's some really funny stuff going on with that.
Yeah. And I saw a funny tweet because at one point it's like, yo, this 24, someone's like 24 is giving away a used car. And it's just so funny, man. The floor, yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. So, and the good thing is, I want to remind people that in order to get a burp, you don't need to have a derp, right? Because you could burp another derp.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't even know that earlier. I thought you had to have one. So I mean, there's not even like that barrier of entry. So you can get right in there.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. This is for the next 10,000 people, right? We had the 99 for the derpy dudes. We hit the 2,000. The demand's there. My DMs are a dumpster fire. So now, if you want to be able to compete for derps, derp token, whitelist spots, prizes, we're going to use the Derpcade to do that and reward people who are participating in the derp economy.
Man, yeah, I love it. Well, thanks, man, for coming on. You're always welcome to come anytime, but yeah, it had been a while. We needed to catch up, and especially good timing with the game dropping today. So really appreciate it, man. And yeah, we'll definitely have you back very soon. Is there anything else you want to add? Any other alpha or anything else you want to say today?
We partnered up with the Beats team for Sonic Sundays, and now there's going to be an alpha newsletter coming out from the Derp TV account, written by Nally from the Beats team. Just weekly alpha DeFi strategies wrapped up and delivered by the news anchor. New partnership that we've got. But if you're looking for some alpha over the weekend, I would check that out on Sunday.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many like little metas and stuff too. Like that's, whole other thing is just like the newscaster little mini videos. So yeah, that's gonna be awesome, man. I'm excited for that. But we are running out of time today. Thanks again, Funeral, and
Thank you.
Yeah, we will have you back soon, and we will be back Tuesday. Hopefully Corval's feeling better, so we can get the gang back together, and we will catch you guys then. Yeah, touch some grass, play some burps. We're gonna make it. So everyone have a good weekend.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
GM Sonic is Corval and Dracula Presley. GM.